You know that moment when you throw your back out at work and your boss hands you a sympathy card instead of a chair with lumbar support? That is basically the origin story for half the disability accommodation lawsuits in America. Here is the thing most people never realize: your employer is legally required to work with you when you have a health condition that limits how you do your job. That law is called the Americans with Disabilities Act, passed back in 1990, and it basically says your boss cannot just shrug and tell you to figure it out. Now, when that law gets broken, the evidence that matters most is not some dramatic smoking gun email from your boss saying, "I hate disabled people." It is the boring bureaucratic paper trail hiding inside your company's filing cabinets. The first thing a good accident injury lawyer will ask for is your accommodation request records. These are the documents that show you actually asked for help, whether that was a written email, a verbal request your HR rep jotted down, or a formal form you filled out. Your employer's written response to that request is absolute gold in a legal case. If they said no, how they said no and how long it took them to say no are all pieces of a puzzle that tells the court exactly what happened. Next up are your performance reviews, and this one trips people out every time. If you had glowing reviews before your injury and suddenly started getting negative ones right after you asked for accommodations, that contrast is basically a timeline of retaliation drawn in highlighter. Job description records matter more than you would think because employers sometimes try to argue that your accommodation would change the essential functions of your role. When a lawyer pulls the official job description and compares it to what you were actually doing day to day, that argument can fall apart pretty fast. Medical documentation you submitted to HR is another key piece, because it shows your employer knew about your condition and still chose how they responded. If you handed them a doctor's note and they filed it into the void and never followed up, that silence becomes evidence. Internal communications are where things get spicy, and yes, we mean emails, Slack messages, and meeting notes between managers discussing your situation. Courts have seen cases cracked wide open by a casual email where someone wrote, "Let's just wait and see if she quits." Attendance and scheduling records also matter, particularly if your accommodation involved things like flexible hours or work from home options. If the data shows your employer bent the rules for other employees but denied you the same flexibility, that inconsistency is very hard to explain away. Training records are sneaky but powerful because they show whether your employer actually gave you updated guidance after your accommodation or just left you stranded in the old process. Being denied proper training after a workplace change is its own form of sabotage. Here's where most people get confused. They think they need one perfect document to prove their case. What lawyers are really building is a mosaic, dozens of small records that together paint a clear and consistent picture of what happened to you. The honest truth is, you probably cannot gather all of these records on your own, and that is completely okay because discovery laws actually give lawyers the power to demand them. Your job is to remember the moments, save what you can, and let the legal process do the heavy lifting. Preparation here is not about being paranoid, it is about treating your own situation with the same seriousness your employer's legal team will. The side that documents wins, and that is not irony, that is just how the game works. So if any of this made a light bulb go off, or maybe made you a little nervous about something that already happened, you deserve answers from people who actually know this stuff, want to learn more about what our company can do for you. Check out the links in the description.